What's up? What's going on, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. We have in the house Cyber Ninja.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
On a Zoom call.
I got a couple of the Mortal Kombat people with me. You know, they wanted to talk about some stuff, so I figured.
Good thing they're unmuted.
Yeah, and we have
not Liu Kang. Liu Kang's not.
Omega in the house here as usual. So we are a day behind, but happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. That's why we took the day off. Yeah. People are going to be busy with a lot of stuff going on. Like, it's really weird because I when we decided to do the podcast, I just didn't realize how many holidays fell on Sundays. Like, there's so many of them. And I'm like, maybe we should rethink that, maybe possibly. But yeah, so I was like yesterday, like it was not really a last minute, but close to last minute decision of whether or not we were going to do it. And then I was like, a couple hours out, I was like, not a lot of people around. Let's wait. So we decided to wait. So here we are on a Monday special edition. We were going to do, I think at one point we were going to do a pre-recorded, but a lot of people wanted us to do this live. So I thought it was better to do the review live because I think a lot of people wanted to chime in on our thoughts on this movie. So we have two topics today, but we're not going to limit it to that. If you guys want to talk about other things, feel free to super chat us or drop it in the chat and we'll talk about it. But today, the two topics, we're going to talk briefly about the new Venom 2 trailer, Let There Be Carnage. And then we're going to jump into our movie review for Mortal Kombat 2021, which, yeah, I mean, it's only been a couple weeks, but people are saying it feels like it's been forever. And I guess it does feel like that, but it's really only been a couple weeks since the movie came out. Yeah. So anyway, so how are things going with you, Omega? What was your weekend like? What did you get up to this weekend?
It was fine. Got some pictures posted on my DVR. I was working on one earlier today, but it absolutely crashed my system. So as soon as we get out of here, I'll probably try to re-render it.
Okay.
Mostly, sorry, go ahead.
I say you got a question already for you, specifically for you.
Yes, I have been watching The Bad Batch. I'm waiting for the next episode. So
yeah, Ethan, the answer to that is no. It will not affect it. We'll still be doing the podcast on the same day.
When WandaVision was out, what days was that on? That wasn't on Friday, was it?
Yeah,
it was on Friday, but the Weekly Geekly was not on a Sunday. Was that how it was?
Yeah, we switched it. Yeah,
I think we had it on a Saturday. I think we were doing it.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, either way, the good news about that is people will have plenty of time to watch it before we do the podcast, which is good. And I can get my reviews out way before the podcast. It's actually better that it comes out on a Wednesday for a lot of reasons. So shouldn't affect it at all. Any thoughts on that, by the way, of it coming out midweek and switching it around? People are saying it's because Disney Plus has so much more content now that they don't want to like pile everything on a Friday.
Yeah, they probably don't want to do, like I said, pile everything on just one day. So
I think it's also because movies are starting to come back in the theaters, especially Black Widow. That'll be released on a Friday. They don't want to compete with themselves in that nature. I feel like. So
you're thinking that like moving forward, we'll see more stuff coming out midweek instead of on a Friday. Is that what you're saying?
I think if it's going to interfere with something that because Star Wars is probably going to start having films in the theater again. Marvel. I just think that those specifically will probably stay off the weekend release dates. Personally,
right. By the way, people are asking about the Black Widow stuff. There were some images released for Black Widow.
It was just posters.
Yeah, but I don't. Okay. There was nothing to me. There was nothing there that was like I didn't think it was a lot of new. They were high quality pictures, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, it just helps further the hopefully the hype for the film.
Yeah,
it looked good. I mean, it looked good, but the trailer looked good. I just want the movie to come out already.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk of whether or not Taskmaster is going to be a male or a female character, and
the picture shows it as a male, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know.
Well, the thing is that I'm under the impression, if I had to take a shot in the dark, if they're going to do something like a switch, it might end up being more than one person as Taskmaster. Maybe it's two people that share the title or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Would you care if it's a female character?
No,
in the comics.
Doesn't matter to me.
Because some people
but
some people are beholden to it. I don't know if there's a lot of people who are huge fans of Taskmaster that would be mad. I mean, maybe some people would.
I think at the end of the day, if it's done tastefully, I don't care what it's done, as long as it does justice to the character they're trying to portray.
Yeah, now if they're just doing it for woke points or pandering, then I'm like, oh, come on, please.
Right.
Which I have issue with the Superman coming out. I don't know if that's on one of the topics, but I'll just leave it as that.
I mean, we don't. It's kind of open ended right now. We all we have is
I'm not liking that. They're making Black Superman, Clark Kent. It's freaking dumb when we have Calvin Ellis, Val Zod, Steele, and I think there's like 2 others I'm forgetting.
Well,
why not give them the spotlight? Why do they have to do this?
I think this is a case where I don't know if the trades are getting the proper information. Like, I feel like maybe somebody at the studio level misspoke. Because here's the reality.
I hope that's the case.
The people running the top end of these studios, the ones that are making the biggest decisions, don't know a lot of these characters. They don't know a lot of these properties. That's why they have those liaison people in between that do like all the work for them and stuff like that. I think it would be a missed opportunity to do like Calvin Ellis or Val Zod specifically, because I think Val Zod is more interesting as a character. But you know, I don't see a point in telling another Clark Kent story when we literally have Superman and Lois on TV right now.
I don't know. It's like I get the sentiment, but come on, do better.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right, let's talk a bit about the Venom trailer.
Oh boy, I just saw this about an hour ago.
So we got our first look at Carnage.
At least Carnage looks all right.
And
a bit too humanoid for my taste, but whatever.
Well, I'm trying to pull up a picture here so we can kind of see some of the photos. So the trailer pretty much showcases, like, obviously we're going to get the Woody Harrelson character, the Cletus Cassidy. We're getting the Venom. We got our first look at Shriek, I believe is the name of one of the new characters coming to the movie. Now in the comics, she's a mutant. So I don't know how they're going to handle that in the movie. And I believe, let me, I've got a shot here. I'll pull it up. This is Shriek here in the picture. That's what we saw in the trailer. And I wonder if she's going to end up being a mutant or not, because in the comics she is, at least the version that I know of. I don't think that Sony has the rights to use mutants, right?
No, I think those are with Fox, and now that Disney bought Fox, they're with Disney, and I'm not sure with Disney.
The only way they could is if they made a trade deal with Marvel, like let us use this character, whatever. But so Hood Rat Pat here goes, thank you, Omega, as you're covered up on the screen. I still have hope for Val or Calvin, but as a black man, it feels pandery just to make Clark black. There's a lot of Clark already.
I mean, I know you don't want your channel, you don't want to get into that whole type of argument.
No, we can I feel like in this case, it is appropriate to have that conversation because it is a swap. Like if they do it as Clark, it is a swap. So I don't mind talking about that. The only time I don't like getting into it is when like something like Batwoman, where it was a different character. Like that.
Yeah, it's a totally different character. So yeah,
like swapping to Clark, I think that is a conversation we could have if you wanted to talk about it.
Freaking dumb.
Yeah,
but yeah. Shriek though.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find a shot of Venom. I'm pretty sure they have a picture of it here somewhere. And they have Ravencroft as the actual. Okay, so it goes Shriek's powers. Francis Barrison may or may not become a symbiote in Venom Let There Be Carnage, but the character is more commonly known as a mutant with the ability to manipulate sound, obviously by the name. The power is momentarily displaced in the trailer itself as Shriek sends out her presumably soundproof cell into a whirlwind. It'll be interesting to see how the sequel explains the origins of Shriek's abilities. She's a rare example of a mutant in Sony's Spider-Man world, or a result of the Ravencroft symbiote. I think she's going to be an experiment.
Yeah, it's probably going to be some symbiote experiment they did.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, there's the picture of Carnage. Let's talk about this for a second.
It look bad. Like I said earlier, it's a little too humanoid for my taste, but it's fine.
So I don't mind that it looks humanoid. My issue is it looks too buff. That symbiote Carnage in the comics is very lanky. In the movie, he looks like a color swap of Venom. That's my only real complaint about it. But I have other issues with the trailer. Cyber, do you want to chime in here on this at all?
Here we go.
No, and look. There's going to be enough negativity coming from me in this Weekly Geek Week. I did not like the first film. This trailer did not have me hype. I don't like the universe they're building around this character.
Yeah,
I literally have zero interest in it, and I think that they are ruining that specific franchise. of characters, and I have no interest in it. Every time I see more of it, it lets me down. This is something that I feel like you would see pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe, pre-DCEU. This is stuff that's just not
something you'd find in like maybe 2005.
Yeah, where people would watch this in the late 90s and be like, this is the best superhero movie we've ever seen.
You know what? I felt like the first movie reminded me of like the early Fantastic Four movies. Like the level of camp in it.
Exactly.
It reminded me of like a more like violent version of those films. That's really what it was.
Now, granted, I did like the first Fantastic Four. It was okay, but we now have the MCU, hell, even the DCU for some of the movies. Come on, the bar has been raised.
You don't have to stray from the source material to make people happy. And anytime you stray from it, you have to be very careful about how you do it to make it make sense. This didn't make sense from inception. And so, in my opinion, there's nothing they can do from here on. This is like, it's just, I'm not interested at all.
Yeah, since when was Venom a comedy duo?
Well, another question is in the I was talking to Cyber about this briefly before we went live, and maybe the chat can fill me in on this. I'm old school when it comes to Venom. I don't know like every iteration with like Agent Venom and stuff like that. I don't know every version that he's been through. I know a lot of them, but I don't know all of them. But since when has Venom's tendrils been used like octopus arms? We see that in the trailer where he's like doing a bunch of things
and stuff. Yeah,
it feels like Doc Ock or something to me. Now in the comics, I don't know if it ever got to that point. But it feels a little odd to me that he's like flipping eggs and pouring milk and doing all these things with these arms. I never realized that particular symbiote could do those things.
Not really. He really just had the web-like ability, and that was only because he was a symbiote on Peter Parker with the Spider-Man stuff for such a long time. And then it, of course,
I feel like that's a pretty massive change to the abilities. That he has.
If I remember, Venom was more like a tank, like big guy. Like, but I mean. Either way, if it was the first movie had a plot hole in the first 30 minutes that even the director came out and said they had no way around the plot hole. But because of that plot hole, the rest of the film couldn't even happen.
Right.
Like,
wow.
I mean, I just can't. I can't, man. I'm not interested. I understand that might upset some people because they might like it. If you like it, that's fine. I'm telling you now, this is a train wreck of epic proportions.
The thing is, there's almost 100% chance we'll go watch it because we want to review it. We want to talk about it. And this year, there's so many movies.
If my trip is free, I will go watch it.
but I will say this though: I think that the special effects in this one look better than the first movie. Personally,
I hope so.
I didn't mind the first movie didn't bother me that much. The only thing that really bugged me about the first movie was we never got Venom connected to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Like that part bugged me because I'm like, if we got that storyline, we could move into the Venom that we had in that first movie as like this anti-hero type character, like going from a villain to an anti-hero. But we never had that story. Like Venom was straight up just a good guy, basically. I mean, yeah, he was fighting with the Host for a bit and he jumped from host to host a couple times, but he didn't stay evil very long. He basically just became like, I feel like Venom is what Sony doesn't have control over Spider-Man right now. So I feel like Venom is them trying to get around that by having their own Spider-Man. Like that's what I think it is. But
someone even asking in the chat, is Venom a good guy? Not really.
He's an anti-hero and like later on, I think when him and Flash become Agent Venom, I'm pretty sure he's a good guy then, but when he was with Eddie Brock, it was more anti-hero than anything.
Anthony here says director of Venom 2, Andy Serkis, which by the way, amazing actor.
Yeah, no, that dude's awesome.
Has stated that Venom is unaware of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So even the director is saying that, look, it's not connected. Like we know we're getting the multiverse, so that's going to come into play. Like I do believe that's how this Venom will cross over into the MCU at some point.
But think about how cool it would have been in the next phase of Marvel films to have Spider-Man interact with Venom in a way that the suit, consumes him and the traditional Venom emerges.
Yeah, he was out in space, so he probably could have found a symbiote then.
That's what I'm saying. And then use that in the next phase and keep Spider-Man interesting. I just
one of the things that I was looking forward to when we got Spider-Man in the MCU was the possibility of a symbiote storyline. Like I thought that would be a great storyline for Spider-Man to have that could have potentially become a big group film, something that's not connected to the Avengers. It's just like a team up movie. Because I think what Marvel needs to do, especially in this next phase, because we don't have the Avenger films to like fall back on, is we need to have Marvel do team up movies that aren't just related to the Avengers. And I mean bigger team up movies. Like, we're not talking about, like, the closest thing we got to that was Civil War, Captain America Civil War. That was the closest thing we got to a non-Avengers team up film. And a lot of people even call it, like, what is it, Avengers 2.5 or whatever? The second.
Yeah, kind
I
of.
think a lot of people forget
1.5
was not an Avengers film.
Yeah, it
right.
was a Captain America movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like Marvel needs to do more of that. I don't know if this direction, this Venom verse is going to work for me in that way. So we'll see, because we're still waiting on all these other proposed spinoff. We had the Morbius movie coming out. We had the Silver and Black, or Black and Silver, whatever, the movie that was supposed to come out with like more side characters and Black Cat and Silver Sable, and that never happened. So who knows what's going to happen with this universe? I feel like Venom is a representation of, like Cyber was saying, the MCU, or like pre-MCU. It feels very old school to me.
Yeah, and not in a good way.
It's Sony just clinging on to what they still have.
Will it be a good
total
action
control
film?
over.
Probably, but that doesn't make it a good Venom film.
Yeah. Did you notice the Daily Bugle reference, Avengers reference on the paper? I don't think I
did
saw
not.
that.
Yeah, I did not see that. Again, I watched the trailer once and I was like, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them as super chats, or you can drop them in the chat if you want. We're going to move into the meat and potatoes of this chat and talk about the Mortal Kombat 2021 film. But before we get into that, before we drop spoilers and get into that, I want to give everybody a little bit of backstory on why we may have passionate opinions about this movie, because it's more than just the recent games. It's more than just going back to the older movies. And I'm going to toss this off to Cyber, and of course Omega will talk to you about it as well, because I know that your history with Mortal Kombat might be a little bit different. But
y'all know what this is.
Genesis, baby.
I played Mortal Kombat, not a numbered Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat in an arcade when it first came out. I remember the arcade cabinet. I remember it was right behind Street Fighter. I remember going in and playing it. And I remember being very into the game. We had a guy, Ray, rest in peace, Ray, who worked at the arcade there, and he was really good at. That was the last game that he was good at, was Mortal Kombat 1, which he was really good. I think didn't he play Sub-Zero? Wasn't Sub-Zero his main character?
Or it depended, but Sub-Zero Raiden.
Yeah. We had what was his name that played the game with? He played the game with his hands backward. Mark, that's right. So we had a cast of people that, like, it was this colorful cast of people that played this game, and it was a very important part of our childhood, of growing up. And I have played in some form or another every version of Mortal Kombat, even the bad Sub-Zero side-scrolling game, all the bad games that came out. I've played a version of them over the years. I truly believe Mortal Kombat, at least the mythos, is split into two groups. You have the pre-3D players, and you have the post 3D players, and then you have the people that play a little bit in both of them. Because some people that played the original ones, like 1, 2, 3, and then the Ultimate and all that, once the 3D stuff came out, they just stopped playing and they never came back to the series. And then you have the people that kind of played all the way through, and then you have the people that just started with like 10 and 11 with the newer ones. So it's a very wide spectrum of like people that play this game. Now, the newer games established a really good story series, like a single player. Like story.
It did.
MK9.
It actually changed the way fighting games do stories because
so
well.
You guys know this. All the early games, the stories were there, but they weren't like super.
It was after you beat arcade mode, and there was only a few like pictures here and there, and maybe some text.
It was very generic. Very generic.
Hood Rat Pat, if you didn't play Mortal Kombat in the mall arcade or Pizza Hut as a child, this combo. Yeah. So in the early games, there was a story, right? There was a lot of fighting games like Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, just any of these early fighting games. There was
Darkstalkers.
There was a story that ran through them. Samurai Showdown. They had stories, but it was basically like you beat a match, you see a conversation between two characters, you get to the end, and whoever you win with, you get some panel of like artwork or whatever.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, the home versions, changed that forever because they tried to make the story much rich. So if we compare this to the first movie, you have to understand the first Mortal Kombat movie had a skeleton of a story to work with. So
all they had to go by was MK1.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
right.
2 was out, but yes.
Yeah, a little bit of 2.
So they had to construct a story out of what we got from the first couple of games.
Correct.
And the second game was when the story really started like diving into like deeper stuff. You got a lot of things.
It got a little crazy after that.
Crazy.
But you had the cheesiness, you had the friendships, you had the babalities, you had all of these things in this game that meant you didn't take it too seriously, right? It was a serious game, but you knew that there was also humor involved. And that's why that first movie was so good, because it knew what it was giving us, right? It understood what it was. All right. So then we got Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which was not good. And there's a lot of we could spend 30 minutes talking about the problems.
Yeah, even film, it was funny because even Christopher Lambert said that the reason why he didn't play Raiden in the second one because he thought the script was bad.
Yeah,
it was so bad when they killed Baraka in the movie. If you go back and watch it, it's actually Rain.
Oh God,
because Rain died earlier because they knocked him into the pit. Right.
Yeah.
So if you go back and watch Baraka when Liu Kang kills him when he falls in the pit, it's actually Rain.
Right.
Oh God, I gotta
and when Sub-Zero is making the bridge and like they're fighting Sub-Zero and Scorpion fighting in the second movie, and you have Katana on the other side and he's going to teleport Katana away. If you guys remember this film, in an earlier shot, it actually has Scorpion just standing there in the background waiting to grab her.
What about Shiva being there for 5 seconds and getting crushed?
Oh God, because at the time Shiva was one of my favorite characters. I was so
and then we had was there 2 TV shows? There was like Legacy.
No, it was Conquest.
Conquest, which was actually pretty good,
really good.
Yeah, it came on at like 6 a.m. on like some weird channel, but it was pretty good.
Alert, the bad guys win.
Yeah,
he kills everyone. Shao Kahn kills everybody.
Right. So we're coming at this
series.
movie. We are coming at this movie with a history with Mortal Kombat, right? So whatever, like Cody here, this is funny. The director essentially came out and said you shouldn't do the tournament in the first movie. You got to have something to build up to the second movie. This is where the tournament will really happen. So I think that's talking about this one, the one that we just watched or whatever.
Yeah. I know.
Okay. So we're coming at this as huge fans. All right. I'm just telling you right now, we have a big history with it. I literally, and Cyber as well, traveled and played tournaments for Mortal Kombat 2 when it was still popular in the arcades. Like we were roundhouse kicking everyone out of the air except for Shang Tsung. Like there was just like so many, or we could literally punch, hook, pull, roundhouse, teleport, jump punch, maybe uppercut sometimes. There's a lot of things you could do like in that game. It just brings back fond memories. I loved it so much. I even love the cheesy 3D games. Like some of the 3D games were okay. Okay, maybe not. But I love them. Nostalgia lenses with that one. Nostalgia lenses.
Straight out at
Did y'all win the tournaments? Cyber, when we were in Philadelphia, this is an old school story. They had an MK2 cabinet. We were there playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We were there for that tournament, which, by the way, was a fun trip. That was probably one of the most fun trips we all did together. We went to like South Carolina. We traveled all over the place. We were in Philadelphia, and there was a lot of people up there that talked a lot of smack about how good they were at Mortal Kombat 2. And Cyber, on a broken controller, managed to beat every single person that tried to play him to the point where he just walked off of the cabinet. That's literally what he had to do. And who were you playing? You were playing like Scorpion, Sub-Zero. You were playing someone easy because the cabinet was broken, I think.
Yeah,
and you couldn't.
I was just playing.
Melina would have been impossible, but just about anybody else could be fine. Melina Katana might have been a little bit difficult. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff we did back in the day. So we have a lot of love for Mortal Kombat. So any criticism we have about this movie is not because we hate Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
we literally love Mortal Kombat.
No, I was more of a casual fan of it. I mostly played UMK3 at home on the Genesis by myself a lot, but did like 10 hit combos with Cabal and Sindel, but still a huge fan.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, somebody says, am I the best gamer? No, I'm not. Well, it actually depends on what game you're talking about. I've played games where I'm really good at it, but when it comes to 2D fighting games, Cyber's the better one. But when it comes to probably strategy games, Omega's probably better than both of us.
I still get my ass kicked in freaking Battlefield Gothic.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So this is your warning right now. Spoilers for Mortal Kombat. It's been out for 2 weeks. I feel like we're still.
Yeah, you should have saw it.
I'm going to tell you now, if I spoil this movie for you, consider it a gift.
It's some mercy.
All right. So should we start off with some positives? I mean, I don't know if there's enough to really.
I will let you guys speak.
I will give a few positives. Cabal did Cabal stuff. Who's my favorite character in UNK3? Melina did Melina stuff. Kano did Kano stuff. Liu Kang did Liu Kang stuff. Jax did Jax stuff. The characters did what they were supposed to do from the game, which I thought was kind of cool. But
actually, if you ever played me on Killer Instinct versus Cinder back when that game first came out, I would have infinite all day long.
I couldn't get into KI.
I could I had the dash perfectly where Cinder could go over and come back down, and it was unblockable.
Great game, couldn't get into it, but
or if you wanted to play me on MVC2 and you weren't playing like Magneto or Storm, you would get spiral knives all day long. So I won lots of times.
Here comes the PTSD.
Yeah,
look,
exactly.
I played Alpha 2 back in the day when no one else played Alpha 2, so great.
Okay, so let's talk about my favorite character in the movie, Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion was cool.
He was barely in it. He was my favorite character. Next to that, I really like Sub-Zero. I like the bad guys. That's pretty much it. I think the good guy team
was really cool.
Yeah, Kung Lao was cool. Kano carried that entire movie on his back.
He did. That's true. Kano was the only character that had any personality.
A character. He was the only one with a character.
I honestly, the whole time, I was like, is Kano really going to be the most interesting character in this movie?
He was one of the more interesting characters in the first movie.
Oh man. Which by the way, they introduced.
I was gonna say the first Kano was probably the only reason why Kano from then on is now Australian.
So the way they introduced their powers in this movie, that's not in the latest Mortal Kombat, is it?
Nope, it's not.
Because I was like,
that's some movie BS. I don't know.
I was gonna say maybe I missed something because I didn't finish the last Mortal Kombat game, so I'm like maybe I missed something.
So the Find Your Arcana thing, right? I thought when they first mentioned it, it was going to be kind of cool, right? I'm like, okay, this might actually be interesting, okay? But here's what I envisioned. I envisioned Neo versus Morpheus in Matrix, where he's teaching them how to learn and use his abilities, and he gets stronger. The fight scene takes all of 3 minutes, but you actually get the premise of him improving and seeing the type of environment he's going to be, put in. However, in all the training that took place between Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and the so-called champions, none of them found their arcana through that training. None of them. It was pointless. It served zero purpose, and it didn't do anything. They tried to even throw a nod to the people that always constantly sweep with Liu Kang, or not just Liu Kang in general, but people that
just
would keep spamming sweep.
Why you keep sweeping? Get out of it.
Yeah, and so they were doing that like, oh, it's a nod to the spammers. Yeah, that's not the people that you're catering to.
Right.
Like that. Anyway, so
funny,
let me tell you
I thought the Arcana thing was bad.
My issue with that sweeping scene was if the movie were delivering on that much cheesiness, that would be fine. But it wasn't. It took itself very seriously, and then you'd have a really stupid gag. It wasn't one or the other. It's like for example, the first 7 minutes that they released online, which is when Sub-Zero attacks Scorpion.
The best part of the film.
Right. It is. But that's a serious moment. That part of the movie was very well done. And I'm like, it's very serious. And then you get stuff like the sweeping stuff. It doesn't work. It doesn't mix with the film. And so we had a lot of that in the movie. By the way, the twist with Cole Young, I saw it coming from a million miles away.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as he approached him in the gym. And by the way, can we talk about one of the dumbest lines in the movie?
Here we go.
When they're talking about Cole Young's marking, the tattoo or the birthmark or whatever they called it at the beginning, she says, well, that's a birthmark. And then the response to that from Jax is, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, it means he's had it since he was born. It's like,
no, that was just from the trailer, I think.
That was in the movie.
Was it?
It was in the movie?
In the movie, yep.
And I'm like, a birthmark is not a foreign concept to anyone. You tell them that it's a birthmark, everyone knows what that means. Why does that have to be explained? That doesn't make any sense to me. By the way, I think Jax looked amazing though. Makad, who plays Jax, I think he looked good in that role.
The actor, he looked like Jax. I thought you were just talking about his weird Those weird arms he had.
I thought Mortal Kombat Annihilation Jax looked more like Jax.
That's fair. I will say that his arms after Sub-Zero, which by the way,
Shaolin tech.
Sub-Zero took him to school, basically.
Yeah,
like
I thought that was cool how he lost his arms.
He's like, I've been on 7 tours or whatever it is, 17 tours, whatever number it was, and then Sub-Zero just proceeded to kick his ass, and that was pretty much the way it went down. But when they put the arms on him, like when he had the first set, not when he found his Arcana or whatever, they were ill, like they weren't long enough to be real arms. They were like almost like
that weird. I didn't know the Shaolin monks had tech
arms.
like that.
They were like raptor arms or something. I was like, they looked really short to me, and I was like, okay. But it just, and then the whole Sonya thing. Somebody else put this up here about the storyline with the marking only really benefiting Sonya, and that's true because everybody else had marks. So what was the point of that storyline?
It was dumb. She shouldn't have even been there. She couldn't even enter the. I'll let you guys finish.
Oh boy.
But just the whole idea, like, okay, so I probably, and this is maybe a hot take, I think the cutscenes in the game, the fight cutscenes in the actual games, are better than every fight scene we got in this movie.
1,000 times better.
There is no fight in the game in the movie that's longer than 2 minutes.
Have you seen MK11?
There is no fight in the entire movie that's longer than 2 minutes. Even if you go back and watch the Scorpion and Sub-Zero one, there's a lot of like not fighting. Like the scene itself might take a long, but the actual fighting is no more than 2 minutes. Go back and watch Liu Kang versus Reptile in the original Mortal Kombat movie. It's a lot of back and forth. The fight only takes 3.5 minutes for the whole scene, and it made the movie better. It's a literal movie about Mortal Kombat with no combat in the film.
Right.
Very little. The Jax Raikou scene was only like 28 seconds. I mean, and Raikou was like some big bully dummy. How did he become a general? Like, that's not the character from the game. Anyway.
It's actually, I was never too familiar with Raikou. He must have been one of
He's actually pretty cool.
So,
from
MK4.
So
Sticky says it was done the other way.
Play MK4.
So this is why you were confused, Omega. He says that birthmark scene was reversed in the trailer.
Yeah, they still said it.
Okay, it was still stupid. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Right. Sam here says the movie should have focused on Sub-Zero and Scorpion feud set in that time period.
Yes.
They could have had a Mortal Kombat, that tournament that would have a consequence for future.
Yes.
You know what? They could have done that.
Interesting.
You know what? They could have done that and never bothered to introduce the newer characters and just focused on the older.
Just had it in that era. They, at this point in the movie, they already made a point of saying they've won 9 tournaments, right? And then you look at this one, and the only people that they had were Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Jax with no arms. He didn't have his Arcana yet, right? Kano, he first of all, he wouldn't have beat anybody anyway. Secondly, he switched teams, right? Then you had Cole, who they sent home. So he couldn't even enter the tournament. He went home, right?
And
so he wasn't going to be in the tournament.
And they sent
Sonya
Goro.
couldn't enter.
And they sent Goro.
At the guy who wasn't even going to be in the tournament, right? So at this point, you had Kung Lao and Liu Kang were the only real threats in the tournament. Shang Tsung killed Kung Lao, right? So just do the tournament. You only have to fight Liu Kang. There's no way Outworld loses in a legit tournament at this point. There's no way. You had Goro. Even Cole made a point of saying after he got his Arcana, none of us can beat Sub-Zero one-on-one. Right.
You just beat a forearm dude.
Well, did he though? Did he? It wasn't one-on-one. His wife came up and hit him with an axe. He was about to get murdered. So in a tournament, he'd have got wrecked. But that's what I'm saying. In a tournament setting, they would have won. There's no way Outworld loses. Liu Kang, his sole purpose was to go find champions. He literally found no one.
Right.
He didn't find anybody.
That's true.
He's the worst.
By the way, someone was saying that Goro from the movie was literally the MCU's Incredible Hulk with an extra set of arms. Like the way his design was.
Yeah, a lot of production studios, they'll use what, because I do the same thing. They'll use a pre-made and just modify it.
But then it's like Raiden, right? Is like, I can't interfere. Yet all he did was interfere.
The entire time.
He literally teleported people away from each other to fight one-on-one and literally teleported Shang Tsung to God knows where. But you couldn't do that when they showed up.
You know what else is funny is they said that there was nothing preventing Outworld from invading Earth. Like they were saying that like, oh, we have to wait till the tournament or whatever, but they were sending people over before the tournament even happened. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. He was like, the elder gods won't do anything. And it's like, right. But Raiden literally was like, I'm not going to do anything because of the elder gods, but he kept doing stuff, just not in a good way. Even Cole made a point of saying at the end when he got the scorpion kunai, he's like, I thought you weren't supposed to interfere. And Raiden just smiles at him. It's like, yeah, you just let your dude's soul get sucked and you're going to smile at Cole? You sent him home.
Although that's one thing that got game accurate, Raiden effing up everywhere and interfering when he's not supposed to.
Absolutely.
That's game accurate.
Eric Robbins says, I'd rather watch King Kong Godzilla movie instead.
I would too, 100%.
Yeah, King Kong Godzilla was all right.
It wasn't bad. And then they made a point of saying that, like, in the film, the whole reason why Johnny Cage wasn't in the film, and people can say whatever they want about the director saying that or the writer saying he didn't want to have 2 comedic reliefs. Kano had to switch on the team. Okay? Had to switch on the team. That was his sole purpose, was to be a good guy until he wasn't. They couldn't do that with Johnny Cage because his character doesn't do that. So they purposely opted to leave him out because they didn't have enough people. You know, they had a certain amount of people they were going to have in the film. So literally, Kano's sole purpose in the film was just to be the person to switch sides.
Here's the thing with Cole, if you think about it, Cole's story was 100% unnecessary.
Yeah.
It should have been Takeda. If they want to add a new character, it just should have been Takeda for MK10.
I would agree with that as well.
100% perfect, but no, they had to go with some weird.
But that's what I mean. They have a history. Like, how many characters would you say Mortal Kombat has total across all of its games?
70.
No, yeah, it's a lot. It's
so like, you mean to tell me that out of all of those characters, they even used the chick Devora? I think is that her name, the one with the wings? Was that Devora?
No, that was Natara.
Natara. Yeah. Devora's the Beetle Girl, the bug.
Yeah, who was
whatever.
That wing chick, she was just meat for
what I'm saying though is that if they're going to reach that far into like the lore of like the characters that nobody's really using,
that's what I'm saying. They brought General Raiko. He's only in
like I said,
2 games.
I didn't even play for that much. I had no idea who he was. I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, look at this hood wrap. 746 characters.
Would be surprised. No.
Yeah, like I think like was it like Mortal Kombat Armageddon? I think had all the characters at the time, not counting the ones that have come out since then, and it's a lot of characters.
I mean, even the non-combatant characters even the boss characters, there's a lot. I want to say it's somewhere near 70.
Rex, I don't think that could have saved the base story of the movie though.
Yeah, so my whole thing is this, right?
Been a waste.
Like there was no tournament, right? Raiden, I'm just going to break this down as simple as possible. Raiden interfered in the most dumb ways possible. Mm-hmm. Shang Tsung was worried about losing the tournament, yet the people that they were going up against, didn't even have their Arcana or couldn't enter the tournament. And again, Cole went home. Why are they going after him? They're like, you don't have your Arcana. You suck. And they sent Goro after him. And then Sub-Zero, who went out of his way to kill everyone related to Scorpion, right? Everyone, because he's trying to destroy the bloodline, manages to salvage his wife and kid at the end of the movie. Like, he didn't kill them, but he used them as bait to get Cole. Like, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that part was dumb. Like
Amy says, replace Raiden with Shujinko. He's immortal and could be the perfect mentor image pre-tournament.
Well, my thing now is, why even have a tournament now?
Yeah.
Shang Tsung said he's going to come back with an army. The Elder Gods clearly don't care. There was no interference. Like, I mean, they didn't step in and stop this whole ordeal from happening.
But you know what I'm thinking about?
This realm has nobody.
They were saying, a lot of people that were in defense of this movie have said that Cole was the POV character for like the viewers to connect with the story. But you could have done that with any character.
He has very similar moveset to what Cole had.
But here's the thing. You don't even need to do that. I could connect to Liu Kang. I could connect to Kung Lao. I could even connect to Scorpion or Sub-Zero if you put them as the point of view character.
Johnny Cage.
It is unnecessary. Jax could have been our point of view character. Yeah. Sonya could have been any of those characters could have been our point of view character. Cole just doesn't make any sense.
Reptile could have been our total point of view character.
Right? Look, listen. Right?
I'm listening.
If people know where that meme is from. Anyway. Mm-hmm. They say that when you kill someone that has the mark, okay, that you in turn get the mark. Okay. So if Sub-Zero killed Scorpion, almost all of Scorpion's bloodline, you're telling me that Scorpion's why did Cole get the mark and not somebody else from the bloodline? If Scorpion had it, it would have transferred to Sub-Zero and not to Cole.
Right.
Like,
shit. I didn't even think about that until now.
How did it get down that bloodline? Right.
Wow.
There's just all kinds of issues with this. Like the whole Kanos, like Raiden purposely like pulled Sonya into the void, right? At which point she didn't have her Arcana. She shouldn't have even been there. She couldn't even fight. He kept saying how much of a liability you are if you don't have your Arcana and you go up against someone who does. Yet she goes up against Kano, kills him, gets his thing and her Arcana, yet they sent Cole home because he didn't have his. The whole thing, it's not about Mortal Kombat. Look, it's about the story not making sense.
This is funny. This is so funny to me. They put Cole in the movie because one Asian representation, but they had a whole Asian cast. That's the thing. Like, they didn't want Johnny Cage to be the POV character. Fine. He doesn't have to be the POV character. I don't really care. But you have a ton of other Asian characters that could have been our POV character. You didn't have to make one up.
I just kind of four.
It's Mortal Kombat.
There's like 1,000 others.
There's only like, what, 2 white people in it that are well known, which is Sonya and Johnny.
Look, like, yeah. Look, and the thing is, in this film, if you would have actually held the tournament, right, you could have had the tournament here and had it end with them thinking they were going to lose and trying to break the rules of the tournament, and then a war ensues. Of course, that's the story that happened in the earlier films, as well as kind of what happened in the original Mortal Kombat storylines. But guess what? The reason why the franchise was so popular was because of the game and those storylines. So why would you change it to this that literally makes no sense? I'm not nitpicking here. It doesn't make sense.
No, it's glaring.
Literally doesn't make sense.
Kita says, wait, did you all not like this movie?
I love this film.
Here's the thing.
I feel like that's
one of my favorite films
I
have ever seen.
I drank too much coffee. Now, here's the thing. Everything that I said and even agree with y'all with, I still kind of liked it.
No,
I mean, I had nothing else to do. I had nothing else to do that day, so I was like, "No, I just watched."
You know what you should do is take that 2 hours and just go watch 2 episodes of Invincible. I'm not even kidding. Like, there's so many things. Like all the gore that took place in Mortal Kombat is that's what it was known for back in the day. Right. It's nothing compared to stuff that we've seen in today's films. There's nothing new here. There's nothing to watch here. If you want to see a good Mortal Kombat story, go YouTube the Mortal Kombat 11 storyline or even the 10 storyline. It's like 2 hours long of people playing through it, but it's a story. They skip the fight scenes of them actually having to play the game, and you'll be way more entertained than what you see here.
I still kind of liked it. I thought it was okay.
Stop.
I still thought it was okay.
All right,
There's still glaring plot holes that you could drive.
Isaiah says he or she thought it was actually quite good, and even though the story was flawed, I like it. What did you like other than Kano's jokes? There's no fight scenes.
That's what I'm gonna throw the ball to Omega because he seems to have a pretty positive opinion of the movie.
Kind of.
What is it that you liked about it that was unique to this movie? Like that you feel like deserves, like, because I feel like if you like a movie, there has to be something in it that you really, really like. So
the characters did what the game characters did. That was pretty much it. And
great, they kept it. They kept it kind of. They kept that part.
I know this is a low, but I mean, it was like I thought it was. Oh, okay, this is fine.
Okay, here's a positive. I think the special effects in it were really good.
Yeah, special effects are fine. And I'm sorry, I'm a huge whore for
Scorpion and Sub-Zero stuff was really, really strong.
Yep. Scorpion and
it
Sub-Zero
just tells me though that I would rather see a movie with just the 2 of them in it for like 2 hours. Could you imagine?
I feel like that's what I feel like that the writer just wanted to make a Scorpion Sub-Zero film, but had to throw in all this other Mortal Kombat nonsense to get it approved.
Okay. I will say that the letdown for me primarily was the inclusion of the really bad Cole storyline. I think that was a big problem. And I think the rest of the movie fell apart because of that storyline being in the film.
It's like I said, I still like the movie, but there are glaring plot holes that you can drive an Imperial Star Destroyer through.
Well, I'm like this, right? If I'm going to watch an action film, I want action, right? None of the fight scenes actually mattered. None of them were any actual good.
No, there
was no actual martial arts. And at any point in time you watch the fight, it's like there's not even really a fight there. It's kind of like a punch, a kick, a special move, and they're either dead or somebody stops the fight. It's absolutely atrocious. If you're looking at it for the story doesn't make sense from Jump Street, and it doesn't make sense at the end of the film. Raiden literally is 100% one of the worst written characters in
I don't think they've ever gotten Raiden right in a live action Mortal Kombat.
Shang Tsung literally killed Kung Lao and no one did anything. Like, if he could do that from jump, he could have just done that to anybody because Raiden wasn't going to interfere.
So in the chat, I want you to tell right now while we're talking about this, do you agree with Cyber about the movie or do you agree with Omega?
I see a lot of people agree with me.
Do you agree with Cyber or do you agree with Omega? I'm really curious what you guys think about this. So let me ask you this then. If the movie would have been take out all of the stuff with like Cole and Kano and Sonya and Jax, all of that stuff. If the movie would have been a story of the two clans fighting, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, if it would have been that, based on what we saw in the movie here, do you think it would have been a better film?
Absolutely.
I think what they wrote in with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, keep in mind they kept that pretty close to the game, so that's fine. But that story was good, minus Sub-Zero not being cold-hearted and killing the family members like he did at the beginning of the film before he was even called Sub-Zero. Other than that, it was actually, I actually didn't mind that part of Cole's story being a descendant of Scorpion. I just think he was wholly unnecessary to be in the film at all. But I think the Scorpion Sub-Zero stuff was fine. I think making Liu Kang an absolute, he lit his literal job. He did nothing. Those people found him. Sonya did more digging for the amount of champions that they found on her little wall where she was pinning stuff than Liu Kang did. She even knew about people that were being killed, and he's all like, "You finally found us, but you were supposed to find them." I can't, man.
This is like my opinion on it was I wasn't expecting much from this movie. Right, I went into it thinking it's going to be a cool fighting movie. That's all I really cared about. I didn't care about the nostalgia. I didn't care about any of that because you get that in the 95 movie. If you want to go back and watch Mortal Kombat from 95, you can. You got all that there. I think we've said this about other video game movies in the past, but I want to reiterate it here because I think it needs to be said every time this happens. It is really difficult for a movie, whether it be Uncharted, Last of Us, whatever it may be, Tomb Raider, any of those movies, to compete with like 30 and 40 hours of game storyline.
Agreed.
It is almost impossible. So with that in perspective, you have to bottle it into like a 2-hour film, or the other option is find the bits of that story that you like and create a movie around maybe the first act of a game. You know what I mean? Like, just do the first act of a 30-hour game and then make your sequel about the middle of it. Then make the sequel of that about the end of it. Like, there's ways to do it, but you're never, ever going to create a story as epic as what is that?
He's typing. He's typing.
Oh, sorry. That was me typing.
Oh, I know what that was. I thought it was music. I was like, wait a minute. Where's that coming from?
Actually, it probably is music because the neighbors upstairs playing loud music or whatever.
But you need to find a way to make a story work within 2 hours. And the problem is Mortal Kombat's story, especially in the last 2 or 3 games, has raised the bar so incredibly high for the series. This is why I didn't think the movie was going to work, because I'm like, how are you going to do it? How are you going to make it better than the story from the game? And also what makes the stories from the game so compelling is they're interactive. Your immersion level takes an extra step that you don't get from just watching something. And a good reverse of that, if you want to look at a reverse that doesn't work, look at the Avengers in the MCU and then look at the Avengers game. Like, you're trying to take the love and all the time put into that MCU and turn it into like a looter shooter game. And guess what? It doesn't work. Some media just doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
And that's why we've had
that.
I look at it this way. If you guys want to see a decent Mortal Kombat story, again, if you don't want to watch the games, there's an animated version called like Scorpion's Revenge, I think it's called. And
I heard those all right.
And it's actually pretty good. And guess what? It actually has fight scenes in it. Of course, it's animated, but hey, if you liked Invincible, you'll like this. There's no reason to watch this film. And if you guys enjoyed it, that's fine. Go watch this other content and then tell me if you still like this film.
You know what? After we get done talking about this, I want to take like 10 minutes just so Cyber can talk about Invincible because I know he watched it as well, so we can get kind of his take on it or whatever. But here's the thing: if you are a old school Mortal Kombat fan and you don't care about story continuity and you just want to watch like a popcorn flick about some of the characters from Mortal Kombat, this is fine. It's not awful. I think that I think the special effects are okay. You know what I mean? I think the story is shit. Like, I think the story is just absolute garbage, pretty much. I think the inclusion of Cole ruined the movie, but I love the stuff with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, so it's hard for me to like.
I like the fatalities.
I wish that we would have had that movie. And the more we talk about it, the more I'm thinking that could be a really good film.
Yeah, and so, see, my thing is this: if you want to watch an action flick, a popcorn action flick, if you want to watch something that has decent lore to it, or maybe not as many plot holes, you can go watch The Boys if you want to watch gore, right? You can watch Invincible. You can go watch any Marvel film, and if you like if you like Justice League, and you guys know how I feel about the DCEU, go watch that over this. What I'm saying is there's no reason why this movie should take precedence over any other action movie that's taken place in like the last 10 years. As a matter of fact, the fight scenes in the 1995 film is better than the fight scenes in this one. Doesn't matter if the story sucks because the story sucks in this film.
What about you, Omega? What are your final thoughts on this movie before we get a score?
Look, Smooth was trash. I still liked it, just like I liked Suicide Squad, the first Suicide Squad movie. It was a trash movie. I still had fun with.
I actually think the first Suicide Squad is better than this Mortal Kombat.
It is better.
It actually is.
What I'm saying is, right? So the Suicide Squad film wasn't very good story wise. The action was pretty decent, right? What I'm telling you is that actually had pretty good action moments. This film didn't have any, like, we watched this, right? I'm saying if you haven't seen this, there's no reason to watch this over anything else that's out right now. If you like Mortal Kombat, don't watch it. Go watch the animated one. Go watch the gameplay from Mortal Kombat 10 or 11. Those stories are super good.
Or 9, include 9 in that.
You can watch 9 as well. Or you can actually just go back and watch the 1995 film because they're both cheesy, but that one had better fight scenes. Period.
So Latricia says, I agree with Cyber. The movie was pointless. The characters didn't earn their heroic praise.
Yeah, they really didn't.
And
that's what I'm saying. They didn't have time to do anything. Sonya shot one fireball.
So Omega, this is your last chance to win people over. Your final verdict here.
Oh, we're doing scores now?
Yeah, do your scores. We're gonna go backwards. We'll go to you then, Cyber.
I'm gonna say it's a 5.5 out of 10. It's fine. It's all right. If you're bored and got nothing else to do.
By the way, I do want to point out
something else to do. Let me play rock, paper, scissors with yourself and have more enjoyment.
Mortal Kombat 11 right now holds almost a perfect score across the board.
It's really good. I still need to beat Aftermath, which is I hear is even better.
It's really good.
So here's the thing, Cyber, your score on this movie?
It's a 0 if you didn't know already. It's a freaking 0. Don't go watch this film. And if you did watch this film and you agree with me, go tell all your friends to not watch this film. It's your duty to not let this film get more watches. Period. It is up to you to make sure this thing does not get bigger. I know it's already been out for 2 weeks and a lot of people have already seen it. You got to make sure it doesn't go
I want to check something. I don't normally do this, but I'm just very curious what the score for this is on like
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, just curious. Let me go and see what that is.
Oh no, it's a 5.5. It's fine.
It is not an average film.
Wait, you gave it a 5.5?
Yeah.
I thought you would actually give it a higher score.
No, it's 5.5. I mean, like I said, there's glaring plot holes that you could fly an Imperial Star Destroyer through, but
so the rating is about a 50%, 54%.
Yeah, that's about what I gave it. 5.5.
But the audience score is 86%.
86. Really, that high?
I'm telling you, people that watch that.
Okay, that I don't agree with.
I'm saying, like, if you watch this and let's say you're an absolute casual Mortal Kombat fan, that's right. But that's okay. But if you really like think about the story that they were writing out, it doesn't make sense. The action, no more than 30 seconds per fight scene. Go look at Meals on Wheels. Okay, Jackie Chan versus Benny the Jet. Okay.
Oh, okay. That's actual.
So let me say this.
It's an actual fight scene.
Mortal
It's like 5
Kombat-
minutes long. It's amazing. Go watch Gorgeous. Any Kiss of the Dragon. I'm saying there's so many other Bloodsport, for God's sakes, that's about a tournament that actually have people fight. That sounds
Mortal
pretty
Kombat
good.
the movie or any episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What would you choose over there?
There's nothing that. Okay, tell me something you would watch this over. If you can't think of anything, it's a 0. There is nothing you watch this over.
Look, so let's put it this way. One of my least favorite movies of all time would probably be Blade 3. Blade 3 is not a good movie.
I didn't even see that. I will watch this over.
The thing about Blade 3 was Ryan Reynolds, right? But Blade 3 was one of my least favorite superhero movies of all time, and that's saying a lot because I loved Blade 1 and 2. I would watch that 1,000,000 times over this Mortal Kombat movie.
I will watch.
You're telling me the lightsaber fights in the Star Wars films, as bad as the story is, are not better than the fight scenes in this movie?
Yeah.
Look, Rise of Skywalker just makes me angry.
That's fine. This
movie did not make me angry. No, it was like, oh my god, this is stupid. I just laughed at it. I was like, oh, this is stupid.
Right.
Look,
you're giving it views.
This was HBO Max's highest watched movie over Godzilla versus Kong.
Really? Ew.
But no, because it said Mortal Kombat.
Right. I was going to say, I'm not shocked on that at all. Not shocked on that at all. So,
my dog is going crazy. If you guys can hear that, I apologize.
So in the chat, I want to see everybody else's score.
It probably smells your salt.
She's agreeing with me.
Drop your scores in the chat for this movie. I'm curious what
chat. If it's anything more than a 0, we have problems. It's a 0. It's a freaking 0. It is not watchable.
All right. So with that being said, I'm curious. I am
7.5, 6. Get out of here. It's a 0. I see that 2 is close to the 0 is close to the 9. So the people that put they put a 10. I know he's trolling.
All right, so let's take a break from Mortal Kombat. I think we've exhausted all of our opinions about that.
I can smell the salt mine.
I am curious because we did a whole stream about it last week. Cyber, you've watched Invincible.
I did watch Invincible.
What are your thoughts on Invincible just as a whole series?
Okay, so real quick. So I didn't know that it was a comic. I have since gone and delved into the world of Invincible from Robert Kirkman. I gotta say, when I first saw it, I'm like, well, this is just an absolute, okay, great. We're telling an evil Superman story.
It's like a Justice League ripoff. That's
we've seen it 1,000 times. They just did what was the movie with the kid? I can't think of the name of it now. We saw it in the theater. Brightburn. Yeah. Was that it? Was that what it was called?
Yeah. My brother said that was pretty good.
It was pretty good about, if the kid was Superman and when
it's like Smallville's evil, not like
right. But overall, I kind of get behind that story just because it makes more sense than the do-gooder. So watching this, I'm like, okay, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Even though I was like, okay, this is kind of like I'm like, we have the boys and all that. And I'm like, after the first episode, I was like, okay. And then I saw the second episode, and I think it was like episode 3 or whatever. I'm like, I can't stop watching this. So ultimately, I think Invincible, first season of Invincible, for me, was almost, I would say it's a 10 out of 10. It's a must watch.
That's what I gave it.
Same here.
It is an absolute must watch. Now, I know comic wise, a lot of stuff happens. I don't know if they're going to do it in the show or if that's
I don't think they have time to tell all the side stories.
Right. They probably will cut some things here and there.
I think that's a little bit of a travesty considering it's only 8 episodes because the story gets a little crazy, but it's good.
I was shocked at how much there is because there's a lot to this.
There's a lot to this comic, and I think that
it's like 108 issues. I want to say.
I think you're right, but in general, if you have access to Amazon Prime Video, which is what this is on, don't go watch Mortal Kombat. Go watch Invincible. I'm not trying to be so funny. If you like fighting, you like the goriness of Mortal Kombat, and you want a story that's pretty decent, there's no reason to not go watch Invincible. It's just not. It's almost like it's a 10 out of 10. You don't want to miss this. Get on this train now. It's a Game of Thrones now. Hopefully it's not a Game of Thrones when it ends. It's a must see right now.
Go watch the comic. It isn't.
Oh God. I just want to throw this question up. What do you guys think? What do you got?
It's Spider-Man. I don't. Are you serious? We know.
Think,
we
chat,
know.
think.
Exactly.
So I will say this though, that one of my favorite characters from the first season, the showrunner has confirmed, will be a bigger character on the series than he was in the comics. That makes me so excited, and that's Battle Beast.
Oh,
Battle
my
Beast.
God.
Oh yeah, no,
is,
Battle Beast is awesome. Like I said, I jumped ahead and went and read a lot of the comics. So I do that because with anime, I do the same thing. I go read the paper version of them as well.
Well, because you have something to hold it against. Like it's something where you know, and you can see the differences. I actually like picking up the differences between the comics.
Yeah, I wanted to catch some of the boys comics, but they were all sold out.
Let me ask you a question then. Right now, based on what we have, Invincible or the boys, which one do you prefer?
I can't make that comparison because I haven't seen all of the boys.
Oh, okay.
So
I have. That's rough.
It's easy for me. I already know what I'm going to say.
I would say the boys.
It's Invincible for me.
How about Invincible just barely edges out for me.
Well, the only reason why I would
still
say
love
boys,
the boys. Actually, met Jack Quaid at Dragon Con, the last Dragon Con.
yeah, and Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban was there too. But it's like it just barely Invincible just barely.
The only reason why I would say the boys, and again, I haven't even finished the first season. Even though Invincible is a 10 out of 10, is because I do prefer live action. So if it's done well,
there's nothing in the boys that I have seen, and a lot of things that I've seen that equal to that final battle between Omni-Man and
okay, but I haven't seen the boys. I've seen Invincible, so maybe I will just say Invincible as well, just because after I've watched the boys, I'll make a more fair.
Homelander didn't go
considering
like
I couldn't put Invincible down, but I did put the boys down. That's fine. That's fair. I don't know.
Isaiah, has anyone watched Jupiter's Legacy? I'm on episode 3 right now. I just started.
I have not.
It's another. Okay, so I hate to say this, but it's just another like tail Superman, alt Superman type story with like the kids and the Justice League and everything. The only difference with this one is more like story driven. It's not a lot of fighting and stuff like that, but the reception I've seen online hasn't been totally positive. But yeah, I'm watching it now. This is interesting. Shang-Chi is totally amazing movie and really better. You think Shang-Chi is going to be better than Mortal Kombat?
Shang-Chi is going to be a better Mortal Kombat.
The trailer for Shang-Chi poops on the entire Mortal Kombat film. The trailer for the Justice League Snyder Cut poops on the Mortal Kombat film. And I didn't like the Snyder Cut. It's a 0. There is like nothing.
What does he mean by this? Because I have not watched Bad Batch yet. Do you think Loki will do what Bad Batch is doing?
No. Like, I mean, what do you mean? Like in terms of storyline, or I mean in terms of like maybe numbers for Disney Plus? If either case, no.
If we're talking about numbers, I think Loki's going to
Loki's going to do way much more. Yeah.
Canada Graph says, "Have you not finished The Boys, Cyber?"
Yeah, really. I just put it in chat. Look, me and the missus started watching The Boys. We watched like the first couple episodes, and then I didn't want to get ahead of her. And she didn't want to get ahead of me. And then every time we were going to sit down to watch something together, something else new would be out. So we just never meshed with The Boys. But I plan on finishing the series. I do plan on finishing.
Latricia says she's got Invincible as her favorite choice.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And I again, I will agree with that, even though I said The Boys initially, but that's because I was thinking live action.
Homelander never went full crazy on The Boys. Well, he did once, but that was a dream sequel. That was a daydream.
All right. So before we go, we have the pinnacle question. This is the 5-minute warning, guys. Who do you got in a fight?
Oh my God. Here we
Superman or Omni-Man? Who do you have in a fight?
Omni-Man. He has he has morals, but he has no real what's the word I'm looking for?
It's
no breaks.
It might not be no breaks, but Omni-Man showed battle damage. Superman doesn't.
Point.
So on Earth, Superman wins. Anywhere else, probably Omni-Man.
Yeah.
So I've always said this. The reason why I sort of gravitate towards villainous characters is because the reason why they always have an edge on the heroes is villains. They don't hold back, and they don't mind experimenting with their powers. Whereas heroes are always like, you can't do this, you can't do that. We see that with Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is a perfect example. Winter Soldier is a perfect example. When he was evil and he was on a mission, he was really badass. But when he's not as good, and that's probably because of that reason. But yeah, so Superman or Thrag from
Thok?
Yeah, no, Thrag.
Thrag. Thrag all the way. Going by what I read in the
he's
comics,
supposed to be the most powerful Viltrumite. So
yeah, Thrag would destroy him.
Superman or Battle Beast?
Battle Beast.
Battle Beast is awesome, man.
You know what? I think I like him because he makes me think of the Thundercats. I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
like, I really just like
one.
The fact
I like
that
Cats. 2, I like Thundercats. 2, the 3, I like Michael Dorn, who's the voice of Thok.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I just love it because he's like the whole time he's there, all he's worried about is finding someone equal.
Yeah, he's someone stronger. He leads because he's bored.
Right. He's like basically no one can face off against him. And I still feel to this day that in the way it was written in the cartoon was Omni-Man just didn't want none of that. That's why he didn't go down there. He's like, I know who that is, and I'm not engaging in that, not getting into that. Look, he says Thrag. Look, Adam says Thrag is OP. I mean,
yeah, even though, I'm gonna shut up. So for people who don't,
I was saying, I don't want to spoil comics. I don't want to go
ahead
for people that
yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing.
Introverted says I pick Omni-Man. So Cody says Jupiter's Legacy is adapting 2 things: the prequel and the yeah. So they're doing 2 storylines when you're watching it. There's the main storyline and then there's the one from the past.
So it's kind of like Arrow where he had his flashbacks.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly the same thing. Lone Wolf, the $5 super chat. I'm so mad Johnny Cage didn't show up, but I get why Kano filled his role. Kano was the MVP. Like
he carried that entire movie on his back.
And it's
I was gonna say, you see all the memes as local Australian man injured for carrying this entire movie on his back.
Yeah,
I follow him on TikTok. He does pretty funny videos.
Cool.
I will say this: like, it almost makes me wish we had a Kano movie because of that. I mean, like, we didn't talk about this. What did you think about Reptile? Because Reptile was very different.
Stupid.
It
was stupid.
I thought it was fine.
Oh God, no, it was stupid.
You just wanted reptilian lizard man in ninja costume.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. That's exactly what you want. I mean, never mind. Why'd I even ask?
Go watch Liu Kang versus Reptile in 1995 and then go watch that nonsense that happened in the little trailer. It's not the same.
Someone said it was like mini Godzilla, basically. And I was like,
trash.
I don't know. So
trash. How are you going to be invisible and get seen? It's trash. It's trash. Sorry.
I ask myself this question every day, and I truly believe that the Flash could beat Superman.
Yeah, Flash.
I think Flash could beat anyone.
Flash breaks the rule.
I will say this: the Flash, and we're not talking about a variation, just an idea of a speedster in general.
A speedster,
yeah,
should beat everybody.
Absolutely, it's not even close.
Yeah, if you ask me, in the comics, and even in the shows, Flash is so dumbed down, and you actually. For someone who actually studies physics, like even Neil deGrasse Tyson would say, the superpower I want is to break physics. The Speed Force breaks physics.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, there's going to be a lot of Superman people that say Superman. If you say Flash versus Batman, they'll be like, "But with prep time, with prep time,
with the superpower of prep time, Batman could be."
You know what? The funny thing was on Twitter, I was going back and forth with people about this, and I'm like. So if Batman, say for example, they go Batman has prep time, right? But what if the Flash had prep time? Then his prep time would supersede Batman's prep time. You can say, well, what if Batman had prep time? You can say, what if the Flash had prep time? You can't do that. That's not a superpower.
Invincible already showed us
time is not a superpower.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, Invincible already showed us what a Batman versus Superman would actually be. He grabs him out of the air and slams him on the ground. Gone.
It's over.
The only thing that prevents Batman from getting killed by Superman if he doesn't have kryptonite is Superman just doesn't want to kill him.
Right.
Yeah. Superman's moral conscience prevents that.
Like the whole thing is with Batman, I'm kind of a Batman hater. The thing with Batman is he's like the Dark Knight, right? Mm-hmm. Yet he doesn't do anything dark.
Here we go. It's turned into a Batman rant.
I'm just saying. Like, think about it. The writer, like, depending on the writer, sure.
I just read that.
But think about it. Like, he's darker than the other Justice League members. How?
I will say this. I do believe that in terms of like humans, if you're talking about a human versus anyone else in the Justice League, obviously Batman has the best chance.
Yeah, he's trained, sure, but that doesn't make him,
that doesn't automatically make it a win. Like people on social media want to argue that Batman always wins because of prep time, and I'm like, that's not the case
at this point.
Yeah,
it is.
Hood Rat Pat with the $2.99 super chat. Kano slapbox with
Reptar.
That's too funny.
I didn't mind the design.
There we go. See, there we go. You need to worry about him, Cyber, because he's the one that's going to get another movie made or whatever.
No, I'd rather not. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie to rip on.
I would argue, Lone Wolf, that neither of them were necessary in the movie. I would argue that neither one of them were. I would rather follow Liu Kang or Kung Lao or even Scorpion or.
Well, the thing was, like,
just added Takeda.
Yeah, I was like, in the original story, Liu Kang was the chosen one, and prior to that, it was Kung Lao, and Kung Lao in MK2 was a descendant of the original Kung Lao. There's like many stories they could have used from the actual chosen people to win Mortal Kombat. Whatever.
I think the term Dark Knight is supposed to be a play on the term white. I don't know about that. I mean, you might be right. Not sure.
They just always use him as like in terms of like being a detective. He'll go to lengths that other heroes won't, and I don't think that's true because he won't kill.
Right.
Like there was I distinctly remember, I don't remember which cartoon it was, where Flash was hanging somebody from the roof to get information. And they're like, "You're not Batman. You don't scare me." Well, why does Batman scare you? He's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
What are you worried about? Well, how does he threaten you?
Unless he's 1989 Batman, then he'll knock you off a bell tower.
Yes. Or, you know, I think it was, what was it? Not Frank Castle, Tom Castle. I can't remember who wrote him now.
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller.
Yeah, that Batman, sure.
Oh, yeah, he murks people straight up.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's fine.
Okay, one more question before we go. Make it a short one here. Do you believe that modern superheroes would be willing to kill villains if they're doing massive damage to people? Do you think
which is why Superman was right in Injustice. He went a little too far, but he was right. Joker had to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Like, that's why I was like, when we were talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was like the stuff that John Walker was doing was upsetting me because he was doing it in Cap's name. But what he was doing wasn't really wrong in the eyes. It wasn't
necessary. Dude was still kind of like going around.
Right.
He wasn't still an accomplice to freaking arson.
Other than, you know, killing that guy unnecessarily, but he just lost his best friend and wasn't thinking properly. Yeah. Like that's what it is.
So here's the deal. Red Rush was supposed to be the Flash on the series, but he did not have access to the Speed Force. And that's a very important thing. The Flash with access to the Speed Force can beat anyone other than like cosmic level entities.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I have to give that one a Flash too. As much as I like Omni-Man, although I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, no, Flash wins.
No, I was gonna say there is a certain kryptonite like thing.
Don't spoil nothing. But it doesn't matter. Flash wins.
Yes, Flash wins. Don't worry about it. All right, so we're getting out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the Weekly Geekly. Next week we have to figure. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about next week. I'm not sure if there's anything that comes out this week. Maybe we'll do like we can
talk Bad Batch, maybe.
Yeah, we could do that.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's fine.
Let us know in the chat right now. We'll wait a couple minutes. Do you want us to do a Bad Batch review next week on Sunday?
Wait, what's Castlevania coming out?
I'm not sure, but I'm not caught up with the seasons of that.
Oh, god dang it.
Well, I think there were only like 4 episodes a season, though, right?
No, I think it was more than 4, right?
The last season, I think, was like 8.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the first season.
Yeah, first season was like 4.
Yeah.
Or we can do a top 10 list. Chat, you want to see us do a top 10 list?
Oh boy, those are always fun.
Not controversial at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
especially when Eric puts it up on the screen and everybody hates him for it.
We could always do something like who would win. We could do like matches of who would win and see what the chat thinks about it.
Goku.
No,
Goku.
And I'm not putting One Punch Man in a battle with anybody because he's a gimmick character.
Yeah, it's a parody. He's a meme in its own.
He's a gimmick character. He's got one thing he does. So
it's a parody on a superhero. So whatever.
I would say if we did a comparison, we would stick to that universe. So like if it was Marvel, we're sticking to Marvel. Right. If it's DC, we're sticking to DC.
Well, how about this?
Once you start crossing things over, it gets weird.
We can briefly talk about Bad Batch at the beginning, like just give a quick review.
Yeah, because there's only like 3 episodes. I think the next episode's coming out Thursday.
He says, "Don't invite Cyber Ninja."
Wow.
Oh, I'm coming.
And then we'll do.
Can't stop me.
We'll do something fun next week. We'll have something fun because Loki's right around the corner, and I can't wait to talk about that.
Definitely, I'm interested. I wasn't before, but now I'm interested.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on Sunday. Take care.